Hello. Today is October 7th. I'm getting ready to transplant some of my greens, which I started on September 9th inside. These have been inside under a light, and I really feel like I should have transplanted these sooner. When you start seeds indoors, they're supposed to take 4 to 6 weeks to be ready to transplant, but some of these have gotten huge and they're just in these little soil blocks like this, and I'm afraid they're gonna grow together and I'm gonna have to rip them apart, which they are a little bit, not too bad, but some of these are really big and I just feel like they probably should have been in the garden sooner. I mean, this one's pretty huge. So next year, I'm not sure if I'll start them quite as early as I did this year. I'm thinking next year I'm gonna experiment with just this one type right here of kale. This is Ethiopian kale, and it's more heat tolerant than some of the other greens. I'm thinking maybe I'll start it first by itself in late August, early September, and go ahead and transplant it out maybe in late September and see how it does, and then start everything else mid-September. It has been so hot this year. This is 2018, and September was extremely hot and very humid, more so than I really recall it ever being. It's always hot and humid in September, like really bad. I remember always prepping my beds in September and always it just being so miserably hot, but this year just seemed even worse, like really, really humid. So it's finally starting to cool off a little bit. It's, like I said, it's October 7th and it's hot out here, but there's a slight cool breeze blowing, and there's a slight cool breeze in the morning, and in the evenings it's a little cooler. So I've got my shade cloth up so that my little seedlings don't roast out here. Last year I transplanted everything right around October 1st and it did fine. But last year it wasn't quite as hot as this, so I think I'm right on schedule getting these planted out here. It's just that they really got bigger than I would have liked. I would like to have transplanted them when they're a little smaller than this. I don't feel like they needed to be. In fact, some of these are my broccoli and cauliflower, and they were doing better at first, and then they got kind of leggy or something. I'm not even sure if these are going to do well. I might just plant more seeds directly in the garden. But I was trying to get a start on, jump on the season by starting stuff indoors about a month ago while I prepped this bed out here. And I mean, it worked out fine, and I'm sure most of these will do fine. I just, I would have liked to have gotten them in the ground sooner, and I just need to remember in the future that they grow really fast indoors. Maybe it's because I keep it so warm in my house. It's usually like around 80 degrees in my house, and everything just seems to grow fast. So I probably really only need like 3 weeks for transplants, or when I'm starting seedlings, I probably only need about 3 weeks to let them grow before I'm ready to transplant them outside, since I'm growing in these little soil blocks. I mean, if I was growing these in a pot, they'd be fine for a few more weeks, but since I'm growing them in soil blocks and I don't want to have to pot them up and then transplant them later, it's too much work. I don't really need to give myself quite as much of a head start next time. Really just like a week or two different than what I did. I was like a week or two early this year because I'm going out of town in a couple of weeks, so I wanted to make sure I had everything ready to go. By the time I was ready to leave, I wanted to get everything in the ground. So it's a hot sunny day with a slight cool breeze, and I've got the shade cloth up, and I'm getting ready to transplant all of this into this bed that I just prepared.